My name is Noel Whitaker. People have called me all kinds of things. Driven, cold, too serious. But at my sister's engagement party, someone called me the weird cousin from out west. That one was new. It happened on a sunny Sunday afternoon, inside a fancy mansion in the hills of Connecticut. The place looked like money. There were violins playing, people sipping champagne, and not a single thing out of place. I showed up 10 minutes early, wearing a navy blouse and high heels, the kind I wore to business meetings, not weddings. Nobody greeted me. My sister Serena saw me near the snacks and gave me a small, fake smile. "You made it?" she said, like I was there for a dentist appointment, not her big day. Her fiancé Troy came over, put an arm around her, and asked, "This your cousin? The one from out west?" Then he told the crowd, "She's kind of the artsy oddball in the family." I didn't flinch. I just smiled and sipped my drink. Then a voice cut through the room. "Did you say Whitaker?" An older man turned slowly from the fireplace. Silver hair, sharp suit, serious eyes. He stared right at me. "As in Whitaker Holdings?" And just like that, the room got quiet. The energy changed. Serena and I aren't really close. We grew up in the same house, but not the same world. She's my stepsister. My mom married her dad. From day one, Serena got praise and presents. I got rules and silence. She had dance lessons and pony rides at birthday parties. I had chores taped to the fridge and a bus pass. It wasn't that she was mean, at least not at first. She just didn't see me. Not when I got straight A's. Not when I left for college on a scholarship, and definitely not when I built my own company from nothing. In her world, I was either invisible or in the way. Our mom didn't help. Her love felt like a prize you had to earn, by being quiet, useful, or perfect. I remember in high school, Serena got caught stealing lip gloss. Mom made a phone call, and poof, the store erased the video, too. Weeks later, I came home 15 minutes late. I lost my phone for a month. That's how it always was. By the time I was in my 30s, Serena and I hadn't talked in almost 10 years. The last time was a rushed Christmas phone call. The kind that ends with "say hi to mom" and click before you can say anything back. So when I got invited to her engagement party, I thought maybe it was a mistake, or something our mom forced her to do. But still, some part of me went. Maybe out of curiosity. Maybe because I hoped, just a little, that things could be different. But as soon as I walked in and felt the way people looked at me, I knew they weren't. Serena hadn't changed. Neither had our mother, who gave me a fake cheek kiss at the door and whispered, "Try not to make things awkward, dear." Awkward. That's what she called me. Just for existing. I watched Serena walk around like a princess. Pretty dress, perfect hair, big diamond ring. Her fiancé Troy looked like the perfect guy, too. Tall, smooth, confident. But I could tell he was charming in public and probably cold in private. When he came over to me, it wasn't to say hi. It was to control the story. "We told people, 'You're Serena's cousin,'" he said quietly. "It's simpler that way." "Simpler for who?" I asked. "For the family," he said with a tight smile. There it was again. The same old message. Stay small. Stay quiet. Don't take up space. I almost laughed. Almost. But then Mr. Harold Ashcroft, Troy's dad, spoke. Loud and serious. "Whitaker?" he asked. That one word made the room stop. And for the first time in a long time, someone looked at me. Not with pity, not like I was a joke, but with fear. You'd think someone would have stepped in, asked me who I was, offered me a drink. But the room just moved on, like nothing happened. Serena laughed louder. Troy pulled her to meet someone else. And I stood there, holding a full glass of champagne, feeling invisible again. But Harold kept looking at me, watching. He didn't say more. Not yet. but he whispered something to his assistant, who pulled out a phone and started searching. Walked toward the back patio. The cold November air felt better than being inside. I was almost at the steps when I heard heels clicking behind me. "Noel," Serena called, like my name tasted bad in her mouth. "I didn't think you'd actually come." "I RSVP'd," I said, not turning around. 3 weeks ago." "Yes, well?" She sighed. "I figured you'd change your mind. You're always unpredictable." That was her word for me. Not strong, not independent, unpredictable. "I think Troy handled things well, don't you?" Serena's voice was light, practiced. Then she added, almost offhand, "It's just easier for people to think you're my cousin. Not everyone understands our dynamic." I looked at her. "You mean the part where you pretend I'm not your sister?" She stiffened. "Must you be dramatic?" "No." I turned to face her fully. "But I must be accurate." She looked away, tugging at her sleeve like it might hide her discomfort. "This day isn't about us, Noel. Please don't make it into something it's not." I kept my voice even. "It never was about us. It was always about her." She left before I could say more, vanishing into the glittering maze of guests like smoke through chandeliers. I stayed still, anchoring my breath, until a voice interrupted. "Noel Whitaker?" I turned. Harold Ashcraftoff stood beside me now, no longer smiling. "Mind if I ask? Are you the Whitaker of Whitaker Holdings?" I didn't flinch. "I'm the founder and managing partner of Whitaker Holdings." "Yes." His eyes widened, just for a second. Then he recovered, barely. "I thought so. I've seen your name in the merger proposal. We've been in talks, though your team has kept things anonymous." That was intentional. A pause. "Do you know which company we're merging with?" "I do." I smiled. "Small? Do your son and daughter-in-law?" The color left his face. He didn't answer. I left him there, speechless, and slipped back inside. As I passed Troy, he looked smug, still convinced he held the reins, still blind to consequence. A cousin leaned toward him and whispered, "Who is she really?" Troy shrugged. "Some finance type? Serena's family's got odd branches. Let them whisper. Let them stay ignorant for one more night, because soon they'd learn. I wasn't a branch on Serena's tree. I was the storm coming for the entire orchard." Just before I reached the door, I passed our mother, holding court near the piano with 2 distant aunts, a champagne flute in hand. She barely looked up, but she still got in one last jab. "You always have to make everything about you." I paused. Turned slightly. "No, Mom. You just hate it when I don't let you make it about you." Her jaw clenched. The aunts fell silent, and I walked on, through that house of curated smiles and veiled contempt. I didn't stay long, made my rounds, spoke, politely to people who wouldn't remember my name, thanked the servers who looked me in the eye longer than anyone else in the room had. I'd already made my impact. The rest was just time. What they didn't know was this merger had been months in the making. My firm had quietly acquired 3 distressed subsidiaries that Ashcraftoff Capital depended on. It was precise, long, surgical. They didn't need to know who I was. I just needed their signatures. And Harold? He hadn't realized until that moment, until I was in his home, holding his champagne, that the woman behind the anonymous holding group had been standing next to his son the entire time. Troy hadn't seen it, not even when Harold pulled him aside, not even when Serena stared at me from across the room, confusion twisting into something uglier, not even when Harold canceled the rest of the speeches and vanished into his study with 3 urgent phone calls waiting. The next morning, my phone buzzed. Harold's team called. They want to fast-track the deal. He's asking to meet in person. He insisted. I replied with 2. Next week. By Tuesday, I was sitting across from Harold in a glass-walled office overlooking Manhattan. No pleasantries this time. Why didn't you tell anyone who you were? Straight to the point, because no one asked. His jaw tightened. You let my son insult you. No, I corrected him gently. Your son insulted someone he thought had no value. That's different. He leaned back, steepling his fingers. This merger means a lot to us. I know. I also knew I had the leverage to change the terms. You could revise the terms, couldn't you? I could. I tilted my head. But I won't. He raised an eyebrow. I'm not here to punish your company. I'm here to finish a deal. Then I leaned in, just enough. But I'll say this once. Keep your son out of any future discussions. He's arrogant, short-sighted, and careless. 3 things I don't negotiate with. He didn't respond right away. Then he nodded. Understood. By Friday, the documents were signed. My name printed on every page, every transfer, every clause. Troy's name was nowhere. That weekend, another invitation arrived. Serena's bridal shower. I declined. She called. Her voice was quiet, unsure. Why didn't you tell me what you do? You never asked. There was silence. Long. Then she said, Everyone's talking about you now. Dad's impressed. I'm not doing this for Dad. I know, she whispered. But it's weird. I feel like I never knew you. You didn't. And I ended the call gently, not out of anger. But because I was finally done performing for people who only remembered I existed when they needed something. That night, an email arrived. Subject line, discreet respect. One line, you earned that room's attention without raising your voice. You have my respect. It shouldn't have mattered. But it did. Not because I needed it, but because once I'd believed I'd never earn it. I poured myself a drink. Nothing fancy. Just a dark rum over ice. And sat by the window, watching the lights of the city blink back at me like they knew. This wasn't the revenge I imagined as a girl, lying awake in that cold bedroom down the hall from Serena. But maybe it was better. No public spectacle. No shouting. Just power, silence, and the luxury of not needing their applause. A week later, I received a letter. A real one. Cream envelope. Gold seal. Serena's handwriting. Still the same soft curves. Still the hearts over every I. She hoped I'd reconsider attending the wedding. Troy had apologized. Mom regretted how things had come across. She wanted a fresh start. I didn't reply. Not because I was bitter, but because I was finally free of chasing the approval of people who never saw me until they needed something. Instead, I made a phone call. Harold's assistant picked up on the first ring. I told her to transfer ownership of the 3 subsidiary properties, not to Ashcraft Capital, but to a nonprofit educational trust, under my name. She hesitated. That's a generous gesture, Miss Whitaker. No, I said. It's strategic. I'd rather build something that lasts than keep feeding men who can't see past a woman in heels. She laughed, then caught herself. Noted. I'll move the paperwork forward. The day of the wedding, a distant cousin sent me photos. Serena looked radiant. Troy grinned in every shot, but beneath the smiles, I saw it. That strain. The kind you wear when you're trying to smile hard enough to hide the crack. Harold had stepped down from the board the day before. The merger had gone through. On my terms. And Whitaker Holdings now owned 51% of their regional division. Let them toast. Let them whisper. I wasn't there to be seen. I'd already rewritten the story. And this time, I wrote it under my own name. I went for a long walk that morning, through Central Park. Scarf tucked into my coat, latte in hand. No driver, no calls, no noise, just air, just quiet. A little boy ran past me, chasing a red balloon. His mother laughed behind him. I smiled, not at them, but at a weight that had finally lifted. That kind of weight. The one that slips off your shoulders the moment you stop begging people to see you and finally see yourself. I sat on a bench when the wind picked up. Pulled out my phone. Opened the voicemail Serena had left the night before. Her voice, softer than I remembered. Noel, I guess I just want to say I'm sorry. Not just for that party. For everything. For not seeing you. For letting Mom's voice drown out yours. I wish I'd been different. Then she paused. I don't expect anything. I just wanted you to know I deleted it. Not out of spite, out of peace. Some stories don't need a reply. They just need an ending. But later that night, I played it again in my head. Sitting barefoot in my living room, jazz humming low from the speakers. Her words circled around the years I spent just wanting her to look at me. Not the cold one, not the problem, not the sister who left and got too sharp, but the woman who built herself out of scrap, who climbed with no ladder, who survived. And still, by the time she finally looked, it was already too late. Our mother, for her part, sent no letter. No voicemail, just a carefully neutral email a few days after the wedding. Hope you're well. It was a lovely event. We missed you. I didn't reply to that either. I forwarded it to my attorney, finalizing the trust documents. I added a clause that converted one of the buildings into a vocational center for young women from low-income families. Not just scholarships, real tools, financial literacy, skill training, career prep, a launch pad. If my family couldn't recognize what I became, maybe someone else would benefit from the woman I had to become, and I renamed the place the Odd Cousin Foundation. The press release went out 2 weeks later. Serena's friends shared it on their stories, their feeds, tagging her over and over. Isn't this your cousin's foundation? Wow, this is incredible. You must be so proud. She blocked most of them. That was the thing. No matter how tightly she tried to hold the narrative, the truth had already slipped into the world. I wasn't the weird cousin anymore. I was the woman who rewrote the ending. Not with rage, not with bitterness, but with precision. I didn't burn the bridge. I bought the river, rerouted the current, built something better on the other side. A month later, I received a holiday. Card from Harold Ashcroft. Heavy ivory paper, embossed envelope. Inside, a single handwritten line in dark blue ink. Thank you for reminding us who we were dealing with. No signature. None needed. I pinned it to the inside of my office cabinet, next to a photo of me at 23. Cheap suit, tired eyes, standing in front of the first building I ever leased. Back then, I thought I needed their table, their validation, their blessing. Now, I own the table. I choose the seats. And I don't need their applause to know I belong. Sometimes I wonder if Serena had introduced me properly that day, if Troy hadn't smirked, if my mother had reached toward me instead of hiding behind her flawless mask, would I have let them in again? Maybe. But I'm glad they didn't. Because what they did wasn't an accident. It was instinct. And instincts built on superiority don't shift without consequence. They don't change overnight. I haven't heard from Serena since that voicemail. She hasn't tried again. Maybe she's waiting for the right moment. Or maybe she knows there won't be one. Either way, it's fine. We all have to live with the stories we tell, the ones we tell others, and the ones we tell ourselves. She told herself I was difficult, distant, overdramatic. It helped her stay the golden one, the favorite, the daughter who fit. But now, the world knew a different story, and I didn't need to defend it. I just had to live it. A few weeks later, I was wrapping up a meeting at a quiet cafe when a young intern from another firm walked over. She clutched her notebook like a lifeline. "Are you Noel Whitaker?" I nodded. She lit up. "I just wanted to say, what you did with the foundation, it changed the way I see everything. Thank you." And for the first time, I smiled. Not out of performance, not to soften a room. I smiled because someone saw me. Not for what I wasn't, but for who I had become. And in that small, steady moment, I understood something I hadn't before. Redemption doesn't always come from the ones who broke you. Sometimes it comes from the ones who were watching and chose to see you clearly. And in the silence that followed, with nothing left to chase, no more approval to collect, I felt something rare, not victory, not vindication, just peace. And for the first time in years, it was enough.